T.I.'s son, King. King Harris has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected.
Trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk out, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Yeah, so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12, so, you know.
The only thing the streets can focus on right now is the Harris family's living nightmare. And this time, it's not about flashy jewelry or viral live streams. This one's about survival inside the coldest walls imaginable. King Harris, son of rap icon T.I. and Tiny, is fighting for his life in intensive care after a brutal prison attack that's got the entire world glued to the story. The details spilling out don't sound like your usual prison scuffle. They read more like a gangland thriller ripped straight out of Hollywood. Word is, King was ambushed in his block so violently that correctional officers...
Steve Sadal reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadal that my clients want justice. So the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
Officers had no choice but to drag him to safety while the whole tier collapsed into chaos. And that's just the beginning of the nightmare. His face swollen, body barely responsive, while the entire prison descended into chaos that left multiple inmates bruised and blooded. This wasn't some random scrap in the yard. The whispers already circling say this was a calculated strike, and the motives behind it are darker than anyone expected. Inside those Georgia prison walls, the talk is bone-chilling. This wasn't about a petty squabble or a quick test of toughness. It was a surgical ambush, crafted to break him down completely. Word is, some inmates had been plotting for weeks, setting him up to be humiliated for what they saw as non-stop flexing of money and privilege. Others insist it was meant as a vicious reminder that behind bars, your last name doesn't protect you. Your followers don't protect you. None of that holds weight. Only loyalty and toughness keep you alive, while weakness turns you into prey. And right now, King is learning that lesson in the harshest way possible. The second the news hit the streets,
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting is gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
Internet went up in flames. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform caught fire with reactions. Some were shocked, sending prayers for the young man. But plenty others mocked him, posting things like, King finally met the real world and folded under pressure. That online divide only poured gasoline on the Harris family's nightmare, with insiders saying panic has completely taken over. T.I. reportedly hasn't slept since the attack, working phones non-stop, calling lawyers, politicians, and anyone with an ounce of sway inside Georgia's Department of Corrections. One Atlanta insider even claims T.I. is ready to sign NDAs, cut checks, or promise favors if it means King walks out alive before another hit lands. Tiny, meanwhile, is said to be running her own war room with publicists and lawyers, but even their famous unity is cracking. Behind closed doors, sources whisper their fights are explosive, each one blaming the other for how King landed in this hellhole. Friends close to the family aren't even sure anymore if they are battling for King's survival, or just fighting each other. Either way, their son's life is hanging by a thread while the Harris dynasty starts to crumble under the weight of crisis. And this time, the stakes aren't about TV ratings, public image, or family pride. This is straight-up life and death. Making things even murkier are the wild rumors flooding out of Georgia. Some say King got tangled in a contraband deal gone sideways. Others claim he refused to play ball with the wrong crew. Inside prison, loyalty is everything. Break it, and you're marked for blood. Insiders tied to the ambush claim King was deliberately lured into a corner of the prison where 3 men were waiting. And right as fists flew, the surveillance cameras mysteriously went dark. Doc swears there wasn't a glitch, but nobody with sense believes that. As one of T's old road managers put it bluntly, it's Georgia. Cameras break when they need to break. Now, With King's condition unstable and tensions inside the Harris household boiling hotter than ever, fans are connecting the dots back to old warning signs. People still remember that infamous Falcons game when T.I. grabbed King in a headlock on Instagram Live, shouting, "You are embarrassing yourself and your family," while security rushed in and Tiny tried to cool things down. Back then, many thought that was King's lowest point. But this ambush behind prison walls proves rock bottom as a basement. And with King laid up in a hospital bed while the family's private chaos spills across social media, that Falcons moment now looks like just a rehearsal for something much darker. To make matters worse, prison insiders say the ambush wasn't just about King's behavior. It was personal. He was mocked about his parents' old scandals, especially those infamous trafficking allegations T.I. and Tiny have denied for years. In prison, gossip doesn't disappear. It becomes a weapon. King only fueled it by flexing online from behind bars, hyping himself up as Atlanta's next big thing. But the older inmates weren't impressed. One former prisoner said flat out, "We don't care who your daddy is. If you don't pay what you owe or keep your mouth shut, you get dealt with." And King's paying that price in blood. Meanwhile, T.I. is yanking every string he has left. Sources claim he's threatened to blow the lid on prison conditions publicly while secretly feeding friendly media outlet stories to shift blame from King onto a corrupt system. It's textbook celebrity crisis management. But with threats still hanging and the clock ticking, one haunting question lingers. Is it already too late to save him? Always. Was this the inevitable reality check when you raise someone to feel untouchable, only to watch the real world swing back harder than anyone ever imagined? The whispers around King's ambush aren't slowing down. They're getting darker by the hour. The whispers echoing through those prison corridors paint a picture darker than anyone expected. Word is, King might have crossed the wrong people in a way you don't walk back from. Multiple insiders claim there was a contraband deal brewing, and King either tried to back out or pulled a slick move that rubbed the heavy hitters the wrong way. Behind bars, survival runs on respect and loyalty. Break that code, and it's basically like signing your own death warrant. What's got everybody chilled is one detail that keeps surfacing in hushed conversations. According to sources close to the block, King wasn't just jumped randomly. This was a setup carried out with military precision. From the timing to the corner of the prison, they lured him into everything about the ambush screams.
I admire his dedication and commitment to the craft because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it. Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass in the time. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know what I
Really?
mean? Nah, I didn't.
Premeditated. And when you add in those mysteriously broken cameras, it doesn't just feel like prison politics. It feels like someone with serious pull wanted him silenced. His name supposedly popped up in a contraband ledger tied to a broken promise. And in prison, broken promises don't just get forgotten, they get paid back in blood. But the rabbit hole stretches deeper, because insiders say it wasn't just about contraband. King's last name itself became a curse. The Harris family's history always drew attention, but now that spotlight turned toxic. Those old trafficking allegations tied to T.I. and Tiny never really faded, and inmates reportedly used them like ammunition, mocking King and calling him soft. Add his loud, flashy behavior on the yard, and resentment built like dynamite waiting for someone to strike the match. For some of the older inmates, this wasn't even about King personally. It was symbolic. One correctional officer even admitted off the record that high-profile prisoners like King become pawns in power struggles. Take down the celebrity, and you send a message to everyone else, a former Georgia inmate explained. That's exactly what might have played out here. Meanwhile, T.I. and Tiny's marriage is straining under the weight of the storm. Tiny allegedly blames the system and outside forces, while T.I. insists discipline and high-power connections are the only way out. Their clashing strategies aren't just dividing their home. They're putting the Harris brand under a microscope. Insiders close to the couple say the scandal eclipses anything they've faced before. Bigger than lawsuits. Bigger than reality TV fallout. Bigger than any headline they've survived. And the more they scramble, the messier it gets. Family friends are divided on what to do next. Some warn going public will only paint King as a bigger target, while others argue silence equals surrender. Meanwhile, every leak from a guard, every anonymous tip, every whisper on social media is fanning the flames. Fans are connecting dots between old scandals, lawsuits, and this ambush, spinning a picture uglier than the family could have imagined. And let's not forget, this isn't King's first run-in with controversy. The internet hasn't forgotten his antics, flexing stacks of cash, calling out rivals, and hyping himself as Atlanta's next wild card. On the outside, that came off as entertainment. But inside prison, that energy marked him as an easy target. Older inmates laughed, saying he was playing gangster when everyone knew he grew up with cameras, bodyguards, and private schools. To them, he wasn't a threat, he was a spectacle, and eventually a liability. Prison isn't just about physical fights, it's psychological warfare. Every stare, every rumor, every whispered threat chips away at your armor. King's privileged background only made things worse. To some, it was envy. To others, it was insult. And to a few, it was opportunity. Either way, his fame backfired. What made him stand out in the free world painted him as a perfect target behind bars. The same celebrity status that once elevated and became the reason he was torn down. Now on the outside, the Harris empire is wobbling under the weight of chaos. The other kids are being dragged into the scandal, facing old paternity rumors and messy disputes that were supposed to stay buried. The line between private heartbreak and public spectacle is gone, and the family can't control the narrative anymore. The spotlight that once built their brand is now tearing it apart piece by piece. This isn't about a canceled show of viral embarrassment or even lawsuits. It's about life, death, and a legacy hanging by a thread. But right now, that spotlight feels less like fame and more like poison seeping into every open wound. The harsh truth? The justice system doesn't care about celebrity bloodlines. It doesn't care how many plaques T earned or how many cameras once followed Tiny's every move. Inside those walls, fame isn't armor. It's bait. It makes you a walking headline, a trophy waiting to be taken down. And for King Harris, that name once built on power now feels like a ticking curse that could end him before he ever finds his footing. The prison ambush wasn't just a beat, though. It looks like the first chapter of a saga darker than anyone's willing to admit. Behind the whispers are theories of betrayal, of debts unpaid, and of enemies who waited for the perfect moment to strike. This isn't just arrogance finally catching up. It smells like a setup, a conspiracy brewing in the shadows with King as a sacrifice. And as T and Tiny scramble to pull strings, the question turning circles online is brutal. Is King Harris just paying the price of his own flexing, or is he the fall guy for something bigger, something the family's been burying for years? From the second King Harris walked behind those bars, the countdown began. His face wasn't just his own anymore. It was a target, stamped with every headline, every scandal, every ounce of resentment his last name carried. He wasn't just himself. He was a Harris empire, the reality TV baggage, the messy lawsuits, the rumors, the arrogance. And in a place where weakness gets eaten alive, all of that made him the perfect prey. Officers know it. Inmates know it. Insiders admit he didn't just step into prison. He stepped into a war. And when that ambush went down, the timing spoke louder than fists. Cameras conveniently cut. Guards looked the other way, and the attack hit with precision like a trap waiting to be sprung. King wasn't just beaten. He was set up, left blooded, broken, and hauled off a medical rescue. And even as his body recovers, insiders say the mind games might be worse. They warned him to chill, to stop flexing, to stop trying to live up to an image built on Instagram. But he didn't listen. To seasoned inmates, his stand on business routine wasn't tough. It was a joke. And in prison, jokes don't live long. On the outside, the Harris family is unraveling under the weight. Lawyers are burning the midnight oil, spinning stories, and pushing narrative that paint King as a victim of a broken system. T.I. is reportedly threatening to air out prison corruption, while Tiny pleads allies to soften the blow. But no matter what strategy they cook up, the headlines keep piling on, making the family look like they are drowning. And as if that wasn't enough, the other Harris kids are being dragged into the chaos. Old feuds, messy rumors, and skeletons thought to be buried are all being exhumed in real time, fueling a circus the family can't control. What should have been a private family tragedy is now a public blood sport. Fans connect dots between old scandals and this new nightmare, painting a picture uglier than any script reality TV ever dared to show. Every leak adds gasoline, Every rumor sharpens the knives, and every headline makes the Harris empire crumble a little more. And the cruelest twist? King's fight for survival isn't just about him anymore. It's about a family legacy spiraling into a storm they might not escape. And it's ripping them apart piece by piece. Friends close to the Harris family say the emotional toll is heavier than anything they've ever faced. Heavier than lawsuits, heavier than TV cancellations, even heavier than that viral Falcons game headlock that had the internet clowning. This ain't entertainment anymore. This is survival. This is legacy. This is the Harris name hanging by a thread. When you zoom out, King's situation exposes a coldest truth. Celebrity privilege doesn't mean a thing behind prison walls. Fame doesn't shield you. It spotlights you. Money can't always protect you. It paints you as prey. And family connections don't bend a justice system built on silence and ruthless codes. King's high-profile status wasn't a shield. It was the blade turned against him. His blood on that concrete floor was a message. And rivals made sure the whole world saw it. That's what makes this story so much bigger than one ambush. This isn't just King fighting for his life in a hospital bed. It's the cliffhanger of what's next. Every insider says this attack feels like Act 1, not the finale. If King survives, can he endure the next setup waiting in the dark? Will tease political muscle buy him safety or just attract more enemies who smell favoritism? Will Tiny's protective instinct save her son, or make him look even weaker to men who live by dominance and fear? Those questions hang over the Harris family like storm clouds ready to burst. Some say this is karma finally catching up. Others whisper a conspiracy. And a few are even calling it destiny, the unmasking of family that built itself on drama, wealth, and reputation. But one fact cuts through the noise. King Harris is now the face of a brutal reality check. In prison, there are no edits, no filters, no security. Just survival of the fittest. And every mistake gets paid in blood. So here we are, watching in slow motion as the Harris dynasty stays down its harshest trial yet. The attack on King isn't just rattling a household, it's shaking the entire culture. It's forcing fans, critics, and insiders alike to ask, is this the downfall of a legacy or the spark of a redemption arc no one saw coming? Let us know what you think in the comments. Was King a victim of circumstance, or did his own choices paint the target on his back? Could this ambush be just a prologue to secrets waiting to spill? Secrets that could shatter the Harris empire forever? Drop your thought below. And don't forget, subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss the next chapter in this wild saga.